Chapter 13. What are we doing here? Andrew's voice cut through the sound of the rain pounding against the windshield as the car rolled to a stop. They had driven for nearly an hour, ending up in a part of the city Andrew hadn't even known existed. A forgotten corner where the buildings looked ready to crumble under their own weight. Through the blurred glass, he could make out the skeletal outlines of structures that had long since surrendered to time and neglect. The streets were empty. No traffic, no lights from the windows, no signs of life at all, except for a mangy dog pawing through the garbage behind a rusting dumpster. A street lamp hummed weakly nearby, flickering in and out, casting warped, grotesque shapes onto the cracked pavement. The rain made it worse, distorting the shadows so they seemed to shift and crawl toward the car. Andrew shifted uneasily in his seat. His eyes settled on the short building across the street. Above it, a neon sign flickered menacingly. Vampire Bar. Its red light slashed through the darkness, cutting the rain in jagged beams that spread like blood through the mist. The building itself was in worse shape than the others, an old, sagging relic of another time, its weathered facade half collapsed. Rotten planks lined the windows, peeling paint clinging stubbornly to the frame. Stone statues perched above the windows, blackened and cracked by weather and time, their hollow eyes watching the street below. The place reeked of ruin and decay. Andrew's gut tightened. His fingers curled around the edge of his seat. Why the hell would Shira bring him here? Shira opened the car door and pulled the hood of her jacket over her head. The rain immediately soaked the front of her coat, but she didn't seem to care. Without a word, she started toward the bar. Andrew's jaw clenched. Shira, what are you doing? She didn't stop, didn't even look back. Shira! He pushed open the door and hurried after her, the cold rain stabbing through his jacket as soon as he stepped out. What the hell are we doing here? Finally, she glanced over her shoulder. Her eyes glinted beneath the hood's shadow. Solving the case. And how exactly are you going to do that in this place? Her lips curved, not quite a smile. I have friends here. Andrew caught up to her, matching her pace as they crossed the empty street. Friends? He scanned the building's decayed exterior. Here. Shara stopped in front of the heavy wooden door. The rain hammered down around them. Her hand moved toward the handle. Friends who know more than they show, she murmured, then pushed open the door. Andrew followed her inside, instantly struck by the change in atmosphere. The room was dim, lit only by a row of weak electric lamps hanging from the ceiling. The stale, smoky air made his throat itch. On the far side of the room stood another door, nearly identical to the one they'd just passed through, guarded by two men. The guards were massive, thick shoulders, cold eyes. They moved as Shara approached, stepping toward her in quiet synchronization. Andrew tensed. He was sure that if either one of them laid a hand on her, they could crush her without breaking a sweat. But Shara didn't slow. She pushed back her hood, her dark hair spilling on her shoulders. Without stopping, she murmured, "He's with me." The guards hesitated for a half-second, then exchanged a silent glance before stepping aside. Andrew didn't miss the flicker of tension in their expressions as he passed between them. The second door opened into a larger room, and the atmosphere changed immediately, darker, louder. A pounding bass line throbbed through the walls, vibrating beneath Andrew's feet. A haze of cigarette smoke hovered just below the ceiling. The room was crowded, people pressed close together, moving with the music, the dull red light from above making their faces seem flushed and unnatural. At the center of the room stood a raised stage. Two women in tight black dresses swayed to the music, their movements slow and almost hypnotic. The song itself was strange, hollow and sharp, like broken glass over a heartbeat. It made Andrew's skin crawl even as it tugged at something dark beneath it. He stayed near the entrance, scanning the room. He spotted Shara near the stage and pushed through the crowd toward her. "What kind of friends do you have here?" he shouted over the music. Shara's gaze didn't shift from the stage. "The kind that know things." A voice sliced through the noise. "Shira? Is that you?" Andrew turned toward the sound. A woman stood nearby, wearing a barely-there dress and dramatic black makeup. Long platinum hair cascaded down her back in waves, framing a pale face with striking black eyes. Her wide smile was sharp, predatory. She moved toward them with the slow confidence of someone who owned the room. Andrew had to admit she was stunning. But it wasn't just her looks that caught his attention. It was the way she resembled Shira. Not in any obvious way, the hair, the face, the body. They were all different. But there was something in her expression, the curve of her smile, the dark gleam in her eyes. That same unsettling confidence, that same not quite human grace. Andrew's stomach tightened. He wasn't supposed to be here. He could feel it, a cold weight pressing against his chest. He had crossed into a world that didn't belong to him. The blonde woman stopped in front of them, tilting her head. "I haven't seen you in a long time." Shara's expression stayed cold. "I've been busy." The blonde's smile widened, her black eyes gleamed. "Too busy to visit?" Shira's gaze sharpened. "Is Daniel here?" The blonde's smile didn't fade, but something cold flickered behind her eyes. "He might be." Andrew's unease deepened. His hand drifted toward the holster beneath his jacket. The blonde's gaze flicked toward him, her smile deepening as if she knew exactly what he was thinking. "Well then," she purred, stepping back toward the shadows. "Follow me." Shara turned toward the direction the blonde indicated, but the woman's hand shot out, delicate fingers curling around her wrist. Him too? Damn. She had almost forgotten about Andrew. Shara's gaze flicked toward him, irritation flashing beneath her calm surface. A friend. The blonde's smile curled at the edges. "But he's a very good friend." Shara cut her off, her voice sharp. Her eyes narrowed. "Why don't you take care of him for a few minutes? In that special way we take care of our guests." Her gaze drifted toward Andrew then, that mocking smile tugging at her lips, edged with dangerous amusement. "Treat him like a king." Then she was gone, disappearing into the crowd without a backward glance. Andrew's first instinct was to follow, but as he took a step forward, the blonde blocked his path with effortless grace. "Hi," she said, her voice honey smooth. "I'm Michelle." Andrew's jaw tightened. Andrew. He tried to step around her, keeping his gaze on Shira's disappearing figure. Michelle's hand slid over his chest, pressing lightly against him. Her nails, painted a deep crimson, traced down his shirt. "Where are you hurrying to?" she purred. "Shara has something to take care of. Why not kill some time with me?" Her breath was warm against his ear as she leaned in closer, steering him toward a low leather couch near the wall. He resisted at first, but only for a moment. She was stronger than she looked. The pressure of her hand at his chest was almost unnatural. She smiled as he settled on the couch, sitting down next to him, one leg folding elegantly over the other. The black dress she wore slid up her thigh as she adjusted her position. "Relax," she whispered. Her hand slid to his shoulder, her nails dragging lightly over the fabric. "You look tense." Andrew's gaze flicked toward the door Shara had vanished through. His instincts screamed at him to get up, to go after her, but Michelle's hand tightened, her smile never slipping. "Shira will be fine," she said, her voice low and intimate. "You don't have to worry about her." Andrew's eyes narrowed. "How do you know that?" Michelle's smile widened, and something flickered in her gaze, something dark and sharp beneath the playful exterior. "We go way back." Her hand slid down his arm, fingers curling around his wrist. Her touch was cold now. Too cold. "Let's talk about you instead." Andrew tensed. He wasn't exactly new to being hit on, but this felt different. The casual dominance in her tone, the calculating edge in her smile, the way her touch lingered a moment too long. "Not really in the mood for conversation," he said, trying to pull his wrist free. Her grip tightened, just for a second. The pressure was unnerving. "Oh, but I insist." Michelle's eyes glinted beneath the red haze of the lights. We don't get many outsiders here, and certainly not ones with Shira. Andrew's heart hammered against his ribs. What's that supposed to mean? Michelle's smile sharpened. She doesn't bring humans here, not unless they're useful. Andrew's pulse kicked up a notch. He forced himself to keep his expression neutral. Lucky me. Michelle leaned in closer, her lips brushing the edge of his jaw. Maybe. Andrew's eyes darkened. His free hand slid toward the holster beneath his jacket, but Michelle's hand shot out, catching his wrist before he reached it. She was fast, too fast. Now, she murmured. We don't want to ruin the mood, do we? Andrew's muscles tensed. Let go. Her smile widened, her grip like steel beneath that delicate hand. Relax, she whispered. Let me make you comfortable. Andrew's gaze hardened. You're making a mistake. Am I? She hissed. Suddenly the pressure lifted. Michelle's hand slid away from his arm as she pulled back, her dark eyes glinting with satisfaction. Andrew inhaled sharply, the air burning his lungs. His hand shot toward his sidearm, but Michelle's smile only widened. Careful, she said, her voice honey-sweet. You wouldn't want to make a scene. Andrew's hand hovered near his weapon, fingers twitching. He forced himself to breathe to calm the pounding of his pulse. Michelle leaned back into the couch, one arm draping over the backrest. You really are tense, she murmured. I'd loosen up if I were you. Andrew's jaw tightened. Yeah? Why's that? He sat back slowly, his gaze never leaving hers. He forced his breathing to slow, the tension coiling in his muscles. He wasn't sure what the hell he had just walked into, but it was clear this place was more dangerous than he'd thought. And Shara had known exactly what she was walking them into. Damn it. Michelle's eyes gleamed beneath the haze of red light. A drink? She asked, her lips curling. Andrew's hand stayed near his holster. Not thirsty. Her smile widened. Pity. A flicker of motion caught Andrew's eye. The door at the far end of the room was opening. Without thinking, he jumped to his feet and rushed through it. Michelle's eyes glinted dangerously. Oh, you're going to regret that.